Welcome to another edition of TM3 Impact. My name is Tomas Martinez, and today we have two amazing Texas football legends. We have Sir Rodrick Walker in the building, who is the NFL Players Association president, Austin San Antonio chapter. And we have Johnny Skywalker, who is the NFL Alumni president for the Austin San Antonio chapter. Fellas, welcome to TM3 Impact.
Glad to be here, my man.
Happy to be here, my man. Thanks for having us.
Yes, I'm excited because we are in between this and golf. So, we're going to get through this, but I cannot wait to play golf with both of you today at TPC. And we'll get to that in a minute. But here's the deal. Here's how we're going to start. And I'm going to let you guys figure out who wants to go first. I want you to tell your Texas football story, Cliff Note version of your story and what football was able to do for your life and to where you are today. Who wants to go first?
Right, I'm going to let you go first.
No seniority?
No seniority.
Okay.
Come on, Sir Rod.
Let me take advantage of that right now because any other time he'll push me out the way. I came into the University of Texas as the number 2 recruit in the nation. Okay. And I did that without even playing my senior year. And came in on campus and was just blown away by the massiveness of that campus. And I remember walking out onto that stadium before tour days even started. I was just getting acclimated, probably moving in that day and saw how many people could sit in those stands. And I instantly pictured myself running a kickoff.
Okay.
Taking it to the house and everybody screaming and jumping up and down. I visualized the cheerleaders doing cartwheels and the whole thing. All the experience that I had experienced in high school just blown up to a whole different scale. And got to the University of Texas my freshman year in 1990. We went undefeated in conference, and that was called our Shock the Nation tour because we were not picked to do any of that. Okay. And that was a great year for us. Kind of was one of the things that was supposed to set the tone for us going forward. And to fast forward to my senior year, we won the conference again. And I led the team in rushing that year and started getting phone calls and letters from the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys, the Atlanta Falcons and the 49ers and some other teams. And was projected 3rd through the 5th round in the draft. Unfortunately, didn't get drafted, went free agent to the Oilers, to Houston Oilers. And that was the once you reach that level, your heart beats a little bit faster, and you get new friends all of a sudden and new relatives.
I'm sure.
It was a lot of fun. Just that transition, I kind of was able to sit back and look at that. And from my high school playing days through college playing days and even noticing my own maturity level as it relates to this is a business now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I learned a lot about the operational forms of the NFL, which kind of helped me in the corporate world, also in my decision-making skills. And it was short-lived, got cut later on, and then I had a contract with the Canadian League and the World League. Okay. And then I moved back to Dallas. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I moved back to Dallas, and I started a company called On the Ball Sports and Entertainment.
Okay.
And it was strictly just for marketing purposes. Yeah. I had some friends that played with the Dallas Cowboys, Kevin Smith being one of those guys who played cornerback, and Aaron Glenn was another guy. Wow, the contacts that I had went to A&M. What was wrong with
I know.
I'm just not thinking about that.
What's up with that?
But I started this company called On the Ball Sports and Entertainment, and I was getting my guys some deals like Hugo Boss, DirecTV, and I had this one great friend of mine, former teammate, Priest Holmes.
Okay.
He was with the Baltimore Ravens. And it was in his last year of his contract. I was sitting back reading the paper and noticed that his agent had just signed this top running back out of college, and this running back just won the Heisman Trophy. So I called Priest and I said, man, how is your agent, who is he going to work harder for? You know, you're a free agent looking for a team. And then he signs this rookie who's definitely going to be on the team because he just won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I just remember Priest saying, well, you can't serve two masters. Long story short, Priest, I flew a couple of attorneys that were working for me to San Antonio, and I told Priest to interview them and let them, you know, meet your family and watch how they interact. Because if you don't like them, then send them back home.
Yeah.
And Priest, being Priest, he's a doctor himself, man. He knows how to dissect and reconnect. And
That's right.
He took me through the gamut, kind of I can't say a mind game, but he was interviewing me as well, you know, even though we were friends. But this is something that he wants to make the best decision for himself also.
Yeah.
And he ended up signing with us.
Wow.
He ended up signing with my company, On the Ball Sports and Entertainment, and we signed him to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was that. And that kind of the mold that broke me out now into the community aspect of it, because now I have to find some things for my client to do.
Yes.
And put me out into the world. So now I host NFL and NBA celebrity basketball games.
Okay.
I bring a lot of the former players back in town, and we raise money for Dell Children's Hospital, the Boys and Girls Club, battered and abused women and children, Toys for Tots, a lot of things that I do with Sir Rod Entertainment.
I love
and
it.
Fourth and Goal Athletics. And along with that, you know, that has transitioned to me being the president of the NFL Players Association and the vice president of the NFL Alumni Association. And now we can just, you know, be out in the community a little bit more, helping a lot of different charities. Which is why we're here, because this is what it's all about, man. I'm so happy to meet you guys and put some nice, fun things, activities on the books for forever. I'm finna say for a long time to come, but
sure.
forever.
That's right.
For sure. Well, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we'll go back to touching on that, your high school senior year, because I definitely think that is an interesting the story that we learned last night at dinner that, you know, that kind of goes along with it. Okay, Johnny, tell me your Texas football story, sir. Cliff Note version.
Well, I can tell you that as a high school senior, coming out of Killeen High School, I was not the football player that I should have been, but I was a two-time All-American in track.
Okay.
I won the state high jump my senior year, 7 foot, and you know, I ran a 900 meters. You know, so when I got recruited by Texas and I decided to go to Texas, I said to myself, I said, well, you know, who do they got over there? And they had a guy named A.J. Jam Jones, Carl Robinson out of Temple, who was one of my competitors when I was in high school, Rodney Tate. We had several. And then as freshmen coming in, we had Terry Orr, Mike Luck, heck of a running back, Irvin Davis, Michael Brown. We had several good running backs, and they were all state and wore their all state patches and, you know, all American patches. And, you know, I didn't have any of that. So our first meeting at the stadium, Coach Akers introduced the freshmen, and and then after the introduction, they looked at me and they said, "Hey, Walker," they said, "I don't see you got any patches on. Where's your football? You know, where's your football jacket?" I said, "Man, I don't have a football jacket." I said, "But you know what? I got 2 All-American plaques." You know, track. And they were like, "Oh, okay. And plus weighing 215 pounds, so I was big enough, you know, to get the job done.
Right.
But so Coach Akers, after the first week of practice, he brought us all back together and he said, "Hey guys," he goes, "I'm gonna name the running backs that are gonna start this year, and the other ones, you guys will be redshirted."
Yeah.
And he looked around the room. He said, "AJ, of course," you know, and he said, "You know, Rodney Tate, of course," and he said, "I was a freshman, you know, Johnny Walker." And all the other freshmen with these All-American plaques and everything else, they were like, "Whoa!" And then they realized, though, that on the field, why I was going to be a starting running back, because not only did I learn my plays quickly, I was a lot faster than them. And you know, so you know, Texas was a stepping stone in my life to help me become the person that I am today. And I owe all that to Coach Akers, who's a magnificent coach. After leaving the college ranks, my senior year, let me go back a little bit because my senior year we were undefeated, 11-0, and we went to the Cotton Bowl to play Georgia for the national championship, and we ended up losing that game to all the Longhorn fans out there. We ended up losing that game 10-9 because of a muffled punt with a minute and 20 seconds left in the game. But out of that group, 16 of us got drafted.
Whoa.
To the NFL. I mean, that was probably the largest draft in UT history.
Yeah.
And 4 of us went to the Cardinals. I went to the St. Louis Cardinals, along with Rick McIver, Jeff Lighting, and Doug Dawson. Yeah. And my stint with the Cardinals was great. Lasted there 6 years. Yeah. 3 of it was on injured reserve because I had lost my eye during a practice at Mattoon, Illinois.
Oh my goodness!
In Chicago, we were playing Chicago, scrimmage in Chicago, and I got poked in the eye, and I ended up having it was a retina injury that just tore my retina completely out. But after several times of trying to repair it, it never got better. So I was on the medical list for a long time. Yeah, and that just told me how important I was to the Cardinals because they were like, Coach Hannafin, my head coach, he was like, we can't let him go. We can't let him go. We got to keep him. We got to keep him because he'll get better. He'll get better. Yeah. And, but anyway, in my opinion, the NFL means not for long. So I had to readjust and redirect myself. And I redirected myself in the business world. I was a car dealer.
Okay. I saw that.
I was a used car owner. Me, as a matter of fact, myself and David McDavid Jr.
Okay.
And I went to the Singer School of Finance in Dallas, Texas. Learned all the stuff, and he ended up getting the Acura store, and I ended up getting a used car lot. Oh, so that tells you how much money I had and how much money he had.
Oh, that's funny.
But anyway, that lasted for about 10 years. Yeah. But during that time, I dabbled in the day trading business. So I with the car business and day trading for about 20 years. Yeah. I managed to get things done and move in a different direction. Yeah. And to make a long story short, I ended up joining the NFL Alumni Board that was created, I guess, 26 years ago.
Okay.
And in joining the board, I learned a lot. And with everything that was given to me in college and that, all the fans that supported me in the NFL college along the way, this was a way for me to try to figure out a way to give back. And after Raul Alegre decided to make me president this past November 24th, I said, this is my chance. Yeah. And I'm very passionate about, charities and about, kids because I think, it starts with the parents, but I think the kids need guidance because the parents are not with them every day. Right. So this was an opportunity for me to give back. So when I took the job, I said, you know what, we're going to do something. And that's what led me here.
Yes.
So I'm very, very excited.
I'm super excited about that. I'm glad that both of y'all are here, and I really appreciate it. Now, I think every kid's dream is they grow up, it's NFL, it's NBA, it's, I wanna play in the Masters, right? It's like this vision, right? And so I'm sitting with 2 people that accomplished that one dream that all kids think about. And so just in when you look back on it, what do you think is the one thing, right, that really, obviously it's more than one, but if there's one thing that sticks out that helped you accomplish that goal, what do you think that was? What do you think?
Go ahead, Rod.
No, go ahead.
For me, being adopted into a family, I had a dad. I had the guidance of an individual, of a male figure that taught me tenacity, that taught me the meaning of finishing what you start, never quitting, and always just keep moving forward. Never settle. And you're the best at what you do. And when you walk on the field, you got to let the coach, you got to let everybody know that you're the best. Yeah. So with that guidance, it helped me to, to play the game and to, be successful in the game.
Yeah, I love it.
So I owe all that to my dad. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I think we had the same dad.
Yeah.
I honestly can echo exactly what he said. My daddy had a 5th grade education from Louisiana and stopped going to school to help my grandmother work in the fields. And he did that until he was about 17 years old, and he was tired of working in the fields. And told my grandmother in Louisiana he was moving out on his own. And my daddy became a hobo. He just started jumping trains, traveling everywhere. To this, I just remember every city that we played in when I was in college. I could be in Louisville, Kentucky. I don't care where we were. He would always, I would say, Daddy, we made it safely. And then he'll say, hey, man, see if they have this place up there called so-and-so, so-and-so. See if there's a restaurant called this, and see if there's this old store called this. And I would ask people who were seasoned in the town about it, and they was like, oh, yeah, it's still there. Or, man, I tore that down years ago. And in my mind, I'm saying, man, how does my daddy know about these places everywhere I go?
Yeah.
And that's because he used to take the train everywhere. Everywhere. We went to the Sun Bowl my senior year in El Paso, and we took a trip over to Juarez to go shopping and hang out over there, and told my daddy that's where we were. He said, man, see if they got this. I'm like, man.
Wow.
But just hard work, knowing that he was a man that worked with his hands, even though he only had a 5th grade education, you couldn't challenge him with numbers, because one thing he was going to do was count his money. And he knows how to add and subtract, and he would look at football games with me, and if someone was leading by so much, he would say, oh, man, them boys down by 13, and I'm over here on my fingers doing, he just looked at the numbers, and I'm trying to figure it out. But that really quickly coupled with when I got to the University of Texas, being the number 2 recruit in the nation, a lot of things are promised to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you hope for a lot of things. And not that it's going to be given to you, because, of course, you worked hard to get to that point in the first place. And a lot of things that was said to me didn't come to fruition. And I was suffering because of that mentally. I was so upset. I think some depression had set in because I'm here by myself. I don't have any family here. And I neglected my schoolwork. And I'm really big on education. I'm so huge on it. I graduated top 10% of my class in high school. So when I got here and was going through that, I flunked out of school.
Yeah.
I flunked out, and I remember just on the bed, and my dad, I remember getting a phone call from my academic advisor and him telling me that. And I said, wait a minute, what do I need to do to get back in school? Yeah. He said, well, you're going to have to go to a junior college or a community college and take some classes and get those transferred over to UT. And I said, okay, well, that's what we got to do. Yeah. Because I'm about to go in here and tell my dad I just flunked out of college. Yeah. And I went in there and I told my daddy, I said, I just got off the phone. It was during bowl season, like December, the year that we didn't make a bowl game. And I said, Dad, I flunked out of UT. He said, what? I said, I flunked out of college. And the first thing he said was, in the smooth, calm Johnny Walker voice that he has, well, we'll just go down to Austin and get your belongings. You can come back here at home and get you a job. Yeah. And I had the biggest lump in my throat. Ooh. I said, get a job. Yeah. That wasn't the goal. The end goal was me going to college, being the first in my family to do it and getting this degree. Yeah. The things that were preached to me. And so I said, no, I'm not doing that. Matter of fact, I'm finna go to Austin right now. And I went back to Austin and I talked to so many people because I didn't have any money. Yeah. I'm on full scholarship. And I was dating a girl whose mom worked for Austin Community College, who knew the president of Austin Community College. The deadline to register for your classes had came and went. But because of the strings that they had, and we pulled those strings and tugged on those strings, and I got me some classes. And this young man that was about the size of my daddy, he said, "Do you have any money?" Like, he was mad at me. "Do you have any money?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, you fill this out and go over there and they're going to give you $500 a Pell Grant. And when you finish these classes, I don't want to see you over here no more because you don't belong over here. You belong over there across the street at that other university." And I got those grades. I transferred back into UT. And once I got back to UT, I had some things to prove. Wow. And I ended up winning the NCAA Commissioner's Honor Roll.
That's what I'm talking
I won the Southwest Conference Honor Roll. And then I won a Presidential Endowment Scholarship.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
And that was the thing for me that was my light bulb.
Yeah.
That was my light bulb moment.
Yeah, for sure.
It was tough. I was homeless for 6 months. I didn't have anywhere to stay.
Because you couldn't stay on campus.
Couldn't stay on campus.
Wow.
Couldn't afford a place to live. So I was on the bus stops and had a backpack that I took some clothes in and waited for the next bus to come. And met some friends that maybe on Tuesday night that I could stay at their place.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't. Most of the times I had to know which ACC campus I was going to be at that morning. And I would just take the bus over there to be there that morning and just sleep on the bench.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Well, the powerful thing is seeing, your options and you had another option put in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, here's the other option. You can just go home.
Yeah.
Right? And then it seems like, which one's easier? Go home and get a job, or be homeless and just struggle to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, those are two, one of them is easier. Going home sounds a lot easier.
Absolutely.
But because you chose the hard one, and now look at where your life is at.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I look at it from a perspective of like, the kids that have this reality, which we all know the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are very highly in favor that these dreams don't happen, right? But the reality is also is that if they keep choosing these harder problems to solve and they keep putting themselves in positions that those opportunities can open up.
Yes, that's correct.
Right?
That's right.
And I'm sure you saw this with your business.
Oh, yeah.
Because I did see that with the car dealership that you had. These risks that we take, even though they're hard, put us in a position to create opportunity for our life.
You're absolutely right.
Which is powerful.
That 1%, that's 2% to make it to the NFL. I think it's more like 1%.
1%?
That will make it. And, unlike Rod, I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have the choice to go home. I wasn't going. My dad's a big boy. Yeah. I'll see you later. There was no going back home, So
he's like, don't come back.
That's right. He said, yeah. And it was like, it was no looking back. It was either I finish the university or I go to the Army. As one or two, I wasn't going home.
Right.
But as Rod said, like right before the draft, I had no idea that I'd be drafted, and so I ended up signing up for officers candidate school in the Marines.
Oh wow!
I signed up, and I was, if I didn't get drafted, that's where I was going. And thank God I got drafted.
Wow.
Because I was looking, man. I saw Tagliabue come up there and he said that the St. Louis Cardinals picked Johnny Walker. I was like, oh yeah.
Wow. I mean, life could be could be very different, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk. Obviously, when your post NFL career, right? You have this opportunity in post NFL career, and you're looking back and you're deciding on how to give back, right? And they've had this the Super Bowl of golf, this opportunity to truly, connect NFL players with the community. That's why we're talking today, because we have this tournament that's going to be coming up that I'm super excited about. But I want to hear from you, like, what does that feel like to be able to go back into the community and work with kids? I know you've worked with a lot of kids. You've worked with kids as well. To be able to have these opportunities, whether it's a golf, whether it's coaching, talk a little bit about that in post coming out of an NFL career.
Well, I can tell you that becoming president of the NFL Alumni chapter, in my experience as a board member and now as a president, I decided that I have the opportunity now to give back more than I've ever given back. And when I was introduced to the Super Bowl of golf back in 23 years ago, we were like we were excited. I mean, we were doing great. We had a great charity, and things were amazing. But with this opportunity I have today, in my lap that was presented to me, I said, "Hey, this is it. This is it. This is what I've always been looking for. This is what we've always needed." Because, especially if I can elaborate about, special needs, in my opinion, has been overlooked for so long, and now I think that there's people that have had special needs and never even knew they had special needs, and it's affected them as adults. So this opportunity now to participate in something special and using the Super Bowl of golf, which is the NFL Alumni's largest event.
Yeah.
And so to do something and to partner, with Morgans and luxury homes, and hey, this right here can touch a lot of lives.
Yes.
And make a big differences for a lot of people. So I'm excited about that. This is my passion, as I've always said. So yes, this means the world to me.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about that too. Very much so. And so, Rod, coming as you're coming, obviously post NFL career, and you're coming through this wanting to give back to the community, what are some of the ways that you found to do that?
Well, when I was in high school, I used to, in the summertime, I used to box for the Boys and Girls Club. And I just remember driving down the street with my mom one day and saying, when I go to college and go to the NFL, I'm going to come back and donate money to the Boys and Girls Club, to make it bigger, make it better. And I graduated from college and came home and saw that the Boys and Girls Club was torn down, which tore me down, in my neighborhood. And I think that lit a fire under me to say, man, I want to do something for the kids and the children in my community, in my neighborhood. And it didn't start there. It started with me in Austin, Texas, Taylor, Texas, San Antonio, Texas. And this past year, out of all the years I've been doing this, believe it or not, I finally went back to my neighborhood this year and did my first NFL youth football camp.
Wow.
And it was just, coming from where I came from in this, poor neighborhood that I grew up in West Dallas, seeing the kids that had needs but couldn't afford those things. Now you get former players coming to the neighborhoods and coming to the cities and putting on these camps and educating and teaching these kids on sports. Well, we didn't have anyone coming to my neighborhood, and I lived right behind, right in front of where the Dallas Cowboys play in the old Texas Stadium. I want to give back to the community. I want to give back to these kids in every shape, form, and fashion that I can. Johnny and I, we've put on football camps for the Special Olympics. It was such an amazing deal to do, to see, to witness. And, it's those moments that are special to you, that you don't do the work for any glory.
That's right.
You don't do it for the glory or the pats on the back. You do it to make someone else know that they're included and let them know that they're special.
That's right.
Let them know that they are too needed in this society, in this community. And that's why we do it. That's why we're so passionate about it. And everything else that comes with it. God grants favor. And we're both very passionate about the youth in any sport.
Absolutely.
In any sport. It doesn't have to just be football.
Yeah.
So it's special to us for those reasons.
I love it. And so today you got a chance to visit Morgan's, who is going to be one of the benefiting charities for this golf tournament that we have coming up on April 23rd. And it's going to be at TP
24th.
24th. April 24th on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm curious. Tell me a little bit about your tour today at Morgan's.
Hey, let me tell you.
Please.
Let me tell you, Morgan's, man, I'm going to tell you, if you're a parent and you've got a kid that has been made fun of, a kid has not been able to enjoy his or her life, without, being harassed by other kids, Morgan's is the place to take them because that facility, when I saw it, I was like, oh my. I mean, they've got things in there that, I hope I don't give anything away, because they've got things in there that will make a kid in a wheelchair. It doesn't matter. They'll make a kid say, wow, this is heaven.
Did y'all get a chance
Not
to meet?
only do they have something that'll make a kid in a wheelchair go wild, they made a grown man like myself go wild. I really wanted to sit down in one of those swings or one of those cars,
Yes.
and play. So like Johnny said, any child that doesn't feel included because of special needs, this is a place for him. I was telling Johnny, after visiting that facility, this is what the world should model themselves afterwards.
Amen.
Everyone is included.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no child left behind type of thing. The world is so full of racism right now and full of hate. And I don't
Jordan himself. I mean, we got a chance to meet the man himself.
The man
that's
himself.
so
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Spirit guided.
Yes.
This guy was, shaking his hands and looking at him. Of course, he looked a lot taller because I've only seen him in Zoom.
Right.
But just shaking his hand and just seeing the passion and then just the good spirit, the good spirit, and and this is only the beginning.
Yes.
It's only the beginning.
Yes.
It is only the beginning. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, sir.
And when you know his story, which you got to hear it on the Zoom,
Yes.
it's powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And it has changed lives. I mean, it has changed lives here. But the great thing is internationally now because of what he's done, what the changes that are happening. So listen, I have a son. You guys have kids. You understand when you're in middle school, just the influence that your friends have. And I'm curious, as you were raising your kids, just what was it that you were able to instill in them to truly help them through those periods when doubt crept in, or when the pressure of, hey, your dad was in the NFL, like how did you help them walk through that?
When you start something, put everything you got into it.
Okay.
I mean, whether you fail or not. But I think that with my kids, there was no failure. There was no sense of I can't, it was always positive. My kids, of course, I raised girls and they're a little bit more emotional. So I would explain to them, you're great at this, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going. Don't give up on it. They may not, as we talked the other night, I don't believe that we're born with that. I believe it's something that it's taught. And in teaching that to a kid, you have to be really, really careful, especially with girls. I always made sure, even though they would try to hit the ball and they would miss the ball, and I would say, hey, look, I said, just calm down and just take your time. You can do this.
Sometimes I would say, man, I can't. And then I'll catch myself. I've instilled that in my children that you can, whatever you put your mind to. The thing that I had to learn also with my son, who grew up an athlete, is to be patient with him, but not put any pressure on him.
That's right.
You travel at your own pace. I didn't have any big brothers to play this game. My dad definitely didn't play the game. So it was just me and whatever pressure I put on myself, because I felt like I just ran a 50-yard touchdown in Little League. I need to run a 70-yard touchdown now. Right. That was my goal. My son is 20 years old as of this past Sunday, and he's never seen me play. He's never seen a highlight tape of mine because I didn't want him to have that pressure growing up and being compared to. Because the one thing that I do know is when he traveled back to Dallas and see my old coaches and my old friends, you know, the first thing they say, man, your daddy was cold, man. Your daddy used to do this and do this. Are you like your daddy? You gonna be cold like your daddy?
Yeah.
And, you know, the good thing about him being a Walker, he was like, oh, I'm gonna be better than my daddy.
There you go.
You know?
Right,
There you go.
right.
Yeah. So that made me feel good, but just making sure that the way he stayed on track was at his own pace and with no pressure. And I always commended him, even if I had to tell him how to do something or criticize, you know, or teach the lesson. I always started with, hey, man, that's a great job on how you did X, Y, and Z. Next time when you do it, do that, but try to do it like this. You know what I mean? And he would say, oh, okay, Dad, okay.
It wasn't just coming straight from let me correct you.
It's not the,
Which
it's
is
not
powerful.
it's not the mean dad coach that thinks he knows everything. Why you doing it like that all the time? What made you go like this? You should have cut up when you bounced it outside, you know?
Right.
It wasn't like that. It was always, even if I couldn't find nothing, I would say, hey, man, your stance, you started out perfect in your stance, you know?
You start with the positive.
Yeah, you find something.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. Are y'all you familiar with Les Brown?
Yes.
Motivational speaker.
Oh, he pops up on my phone all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I got to see him. I don't know if you've ever seen him live.
No.
But he came to San Antonio and I got to see him live. And he told his, you know, the hungry story about him wanting to be the DJ.
Yes.
And he told that whole story. If you've ever watched it online,
yes.
he did it live in San Antonio. I got to see it. But he has a quote, and you know, this idea of practice makes, and if you ever hear him do this in this deal, everybody says perfect. Everybody says that.
Right.
But when you hear Les Brown, and he says no. Practice doesn't make perfect.
A perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah. But what Les Brown said, I like that too. He says practice makes progress.
Nice.
And I'll never forget that, because with my son, I've had to, like, you know, get his brain to understand. There's a book called by Dr. Carol Dweck about mindset. And she talks about with kids, if everything is like you're smart, you're smart, you're smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, what happens when they face something and it's hard? They're not smart anymore. Right. And it clicked to me, like it finally started clicking with me with my son, probably when he was, because kids go through this period where they just stop trying.
Yeah.
They'll get to a point where they just like, I don't want to try anymore because it's hard. And so I realized with my son, he was playing this video game, Fortnite. I mean, I'm sure y'all have heard of that Fortnite game. And he was just losing. And what did he keep doing? He kept playing the game. Yeah. And so I said, hey, Enzo, practice makes. If you asked him, when you see him today, ask him, practice makes, and he'll tell you progress, because over time, you'll never really be like he can't win every game in Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way he could ever win every game. But he could get a little bit better. And like, you know, back in the day, Pat Riley, the 1%, you get 1% better over time. And so I think about that, like progress. You know, if you look back on your lives, you know, like the little incremental processes that you've made, just little by little, hard work, right? And it's, you know, you were talking about, you know, with your dad, you know, the story with your dad. What else stood out to you, mentor, someone that really stood out to you to tell you that, hey, you've got something that's in you that you need to bring out into the world? Who else helped you with that?
I was in the 8th grade, and we used to say, of course, growing up, practice makes perfect also.
Yeah.
Until I was in college, and the coach told me practice makes precision.
Ooh.
You know, that was another one that we used to say.
I like that, yeah.
But I was in the 8th grade, and going out for my last game as an 8th grader, and we did our rah in the locker room and running out onto the field, and my coach held me back. And he said, hey, next year you're going to high school, and middle school has been easy for you, you know, but when you get to high school, they're going to be bigger. You know, everybody's going to catch up with you. You know, they're going to be bigger. Some going to be faster. They're definitely going to be stronger, because I was a little skinny little black kid. You know, I was just fast and have some natural strength. Yeah. And he said, they're going to catch up with you, so you're going to have to put in some work.
Yeah.
You got to do some work. And I was like, man, I'm in the 8th grade. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I mean, I'm trying to go take this field to win.
Right.
You know, and we went out that game. They gave me the ball 5 times.
Okay.
I scored 5 touchdowns. And I had 303 yards.
Oh my goodness.
All in the first half.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm talking about.
So my journey, like that speech that he just gave me was nothing. I forgot all about that.
Right.
When I got to high school and I saw these juniors and seniors, and one of them pushed me out of line to go eat and lunch, and I was like, God, dog, this is what I got to play up against these, now.
Yeah.
That's when I remembered that speech. That was my motivation now.
Yeah.
So I did. I worked hard. I said, if I'm going to be competing against these guys, I can only imagine when I go to college, and I had to get in that weight room and be committed and set my goals. I started setting goals then because everything was easy for me.
As a freshman, you started setting goals.
Started setting goals.
Huh.
Started setting goals.
Powerful.
I got faster, got stronger, got smarter.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I had people depending on me because people look up to athletes in school.
Yeah.
And especially in high school. You kind of set the tone for the school.
Yeah.
If you as a team or as an individual that's pretty good at the sport come in dragging, and you're the tier 1 athlete, everybody who knows your name, who's seen your name in the newspaper, are gonna say, "Oh man, something wrong with him."
Yeah.
And I don't want that trickle down effect.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in peachy. I'm coming in hype and I'm crunk, and makes them the energy transfers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You keep the energy up.
So those were that middle school coach gave me the juice.
Yeah.
The eye-opening motivation to continue to work hard.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off.
It does. And it's interesting that the retroactive effect of advice, that we all have wisdom that dad gives us.
Yes.
I'll never forget, my dad, some of the wisdom that he imparted on me, but it took like 10 years for it to just like, what? It's like,
that's what he meant.
Man, that's what he meant. But I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Right? Just like at that 8th grade, you weren't ready for it in that moment, but then it comes back. How about for you, Johnny?
Man, for me, in 1979, we were playing.
Damn,
Brian.
1979.
Yeah, I know.
Was I born?
I know it. We'll get to that
I was 4.
I was 9. I was 9.
Lil Walker, we'll get to that later, Lil Walker. But in 1979, we're playing Bryan Vikings in Bryan in College Station.
Yep.
And it was my 1980. It was my senior year.
Okay.
And we had every major college coach in the stands watching me. And after first half, I'm sitting in the locker room, and Coach Rex Turner, great coach, he closes the door, but this guy comes in, and I see the guy coming in, and it's my dad. And, I want everybody to know my dad was like a J.R. Ewing. He was my adopted dad, whom I love with all of my heart. But he comes in with his cowboy hat on and boots, and he says, "Where's Big Boy?" And I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm just like trying to meditate, and I see him. I'm like, oh, my. He walks over there, and he goes, "Big Boy, do you realize you've got every college coach who took time out of their lives to come down here and watch you play football, and you are just horrible. You're." He goes, "What are you doing?" And with what he said to me in the locker room, it gave me motivation. We went back out on the field and played Bryan the second half. In the second half, I rushed for about 64 yards and a touchdown. Did some amazing things. And but my dad, went to Baylor. Walked on as a baseball player and had to serve. I mean, this is his stories to me. It's like, man, I had to walk in the rain, man, barefoot up the hill through rocks, Right. But he's like, "Big Boy, you've got it." He said, "You've got it." Speaking about tenacity and, the will. He goes, "If I had your tenacity, if you had my tenacity and I had your ability, they couldn't stop me." He said, "I had to serve my teammates. I had to work at Baylor University, serve them in the chow hall, and then go out and play with them, he goes, you know what? I had never got any respect. I felt so bad that I just didn't have it. He goes, but you've got it. So, you got two choices, as I said earlier. You can go to the Army. You can't come back here. You can figure it out. I mean, or you can go to college. You can make something of yourself. So that motivation, to see the passion in his eyes, and to see that, he went through a lot and he wanted to give me that, but he couldn't. And it was up to me to get that. And I took it along in everything I did, whether it was in college football, the NFL, the business world, day trading. It was the passion. It was the motivation to win. And so I learned that, and it's helped me all throughout my life.
I love it. What do you say to parents? Because I know you get parents that come up, Rod. I know you have parents that come up, Johnny, that I my kid he's going to the NFL, right? Like he's 8.
Yeah.
I like, seriously, we got to talk about it, because it's like,
I'm gonna let Rod do this. Come on, Rod.
But we have to talk to parents to help them understand. Number one, you didn't have your dad didn't have that pressure. Your dad was painting the picture. I don't think it was necessarily pressure, but he was painting the picture for, hey, what do you want?
That's
right. And so I'm curious, just from when those parents come up and they ask, how do you talk through that?
I train kids every day, but I host NFL youth camps all the time.
Okay.
And there are those parents that has a little Johnny, and that says, "Hey, I know he's my kid, but he's great at this, and I think he's going to be good at the next level." And then they want to pull out their phones and show me some footage, and I don't even care about that footage. Let me see him in today's camp.
Yeah.
And I will literally have to sometime, because I don't want to bust their bubble. I haven't seen their kid play,
Right.
but I watch their kid, and there are a lot of times, and I literally will say this: he's not going to even play in high school. He's good, right? You may think he's good right now, but with this, I know talent when I see it. I also know heart when I see it, and he's going to be a great accountant. Or he may be the great governor or something someday. But you have to be honest with him. Now, don't that doesn't mean don't let him stop playing the sport.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sports is going to teach him a lot of life lessons to be the best that he can be in life.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another sport out there for him. Maybe it's baseball. I don't know.
Yeah.
But from what I see every day and train in the game of football every day, there's some kids that I just look at and say, this must be his first time.
Boy, I'm glad you didn't see me as a kid. Yeah. You'd probably said, Mr. Wells, he's probably going to own a watermelon patch. Because that boy, I ate so many watermelons. And I'm telling you, when I had a little stomach, I looked like I couldn't even be a chef.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, you have to be straight up with these parents, man, because they do wish the best for their kids or think the best of them. And, given the eye test, when I actually see them play or perform, right offhand if they can play this game later on. Because here's one thing about this sport. Yeah. You have to be crazy to play it.
Yeah.
You have to be a different person.
You have to be a different person.
It takes a different person.
Who wants to run full speed 100 miles an hour into a brick wall?
No. I'm out.
Play after play. Play after play.
Battle.
Yeah.
You're battling every day.
Play after play.
It's a modern day gladiators.
You get hurt and then you suck it up. Like this isn't basketball. In basketball, no offense to any basketball players, point guard.
Right.
Right. But when you tweak an ankle in basketball, they sit you out for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not in football.
In football, you better go to the sideline, get that bad boy taped up, and be back out here on this field for the next series. Yeah. And you play on that pain.
And it makes you, you know what, Rod, you're right. It makes you, and I look back, as I always say, I'm a praying man. When I was playing football competitive, weighing 225 pounds, bench pressing 405 pounds, running a 900 meters, every day going to work, going to that field, you were going into battle. You were literally fighting. It made you a different person. It made me a different person. So I prayed to, for help in getting, because we didn't have any kind of social worker or psychiatrist to ease our way back into the league. I mean, back into normal life, because you're so high strung and intense. I mean, you don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but with that high intensity that you have to deal with on a daily basis, it makes you a different person. You and I were both different when we played. I mean, I had the eye of the tiger every time I stepped on the field.
Yeah, you have to.
And it just made you a different person. And you know, I just thank God that I'm the person that I am today. But it's a different. And every kid is not made for that.
Right.
You know,
you get conditioned. You know what I mean? Over and over again to do something, to push yourself to different limits, knowing that I don't know if I can run another wind sprint. And as soon as you blow that whistle, you take off anyway. You know what I mean? And then that energy and knowledge transfers into your regular life after football, life after the locker room.
Oh, yes.
It's sometimes it's too aggressive for other people. Because we've been conditioned to be that.
And that explains why a lot of the NFL players, now they have something in place to assist the player, you know, after the league. But, you know, me, for example, when we would scrimmage Chicago and Mattoon, Illinois, you know, I didn't know, I had no idea Steve McMichael was All-American at the University of Texas. I had no idea who he was. We got into it in practice one day, and he grabbed me and I grabbed him. And he said, "That's what we do, Longhorns, isn't it?" And I was like, look, I said, "Yeah, you can let me go now." But it was, I mean, you're just a different person.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a hard transition, and some of those that, you know, can't make that transition from playing competitively, you know, they get on the wrong track, and you know, in their lives, you know, they have, you know, horrible things happen to them, and I'm glad now that the NFL has got something in place to assist those guys in making that transition. Which
is kind of the NFL Alumni Association. Is getting around players that have, right, what you guys have done, and then the Players Association as well, right, getting around former players. Well, listen, we need to get to golf. It's time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about golf, Rod. I know you're excited as well. We're going to have a good time.
Well, you ain't no 12 handicap. I can tell you that now.
I mean, listen, I always tell my son and I joke is that usually when I play with new people, you know, you focus up and you play a little bit better.
Yes.
So I'm hoping I play like around a 10, but I think it's going to be more like a 15. So listen, to wrap this up, I just, you know, we're so excited. You know, we have Amazon is going to be our main sponsor for this event coming up on April 24th. We could not be happier to be partnered with the NFL Alumni Association, and so we really appreciate you making the connection with Miss Julie, with my wife.
Yes.
And you know, when my wife told me, she's like, "I think we're going to get the NFL," and I said, "Really?" I said, "Really? Like how?" She goes, I think it's a possibility. And that one Zoom call, they both Zoomed me right after y'all's conversation. And they were like, it's a yes, we got it.
They are wonderful. They're amazing.
Aren't they amazing?
They are amazing.
Yeah, they dream big, don't they?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Dream big.
Hey, you talk about Amazon now. Let's talk about luxury homes too now.
Oh, for sure.
You guys, I'm going to tell you what, you guys, I mean, you guys are all over the country.
Yes.
You're all over the world. And
so,
you know, it's a pleasure for the NFL alumni to be a part of this, because this is something. This is the next Super Bowl of golf. This is the next world of golf.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah,
You know?
I love it. I love it. Well, we're excited. And I want to thank you for being on TM3 Impact. Let's go hit the golf course. Let's get it started.
Hey, we
do it.
appreciate you, man.
All right,
Thank
take
you so
care.
much.
Thank you.
TM3, baby.
Yes. Thank you, guys.